The sky was the most sinister color of gray and orange, and you knew something was wrong. Fires in Beacon Hill and fires in Thickwood.
When I seen the hills light on fire, I says, we got to get the hell out of here.
And then I realized, where are my kids?
Ronald, the president of the local here, well, he got a call from the fire department, and then he turned around and looked at me, and the look just said it all.
Fire was rolling over treetops. Embers would burn and they would shoot up and they would light a fire, 100 yards away. And then another fire would light and another fire would light.
And he said, Loretta, we have people coming out to Mackay. Keep the office open. I said, I'm still here. And I said, is it that bad? And he said, it's really bad.
There was ash falling from the sky.
Told Peggy, I says, we got to pray because we weren't even sure we were going to get out of Fort McMurray.
There were people running, coming out of the bushes with little backpack, whatever, running, just leaving their vehicles, and something just unreal.
You could hear explosions, constant explosions. It was almost similar to that of a war zone. It was absolutely terrifying.
Propane tanks exploding, bullets going off, because it seems like there's every home in McMurray has bullets. And
very, kind of harrowing experience as you're driving and leaving Armageddon behind you and you don't know what's coming.
So people were cutting across the road there and driving north on southbound lanes.
We knew we lost our house because by the time we were getting out, the house on that first crescent past my house was on fire. And an 100-foot flame where, practically across the road.
The thing about the Beast is it rewrote the history books. You would go through a neighborhood and there would be 5 houses burnt, 2 that weren't, and then 5 more that were burnt. It was thinking, I'm going to take this and I'm going to take that. And it had a mind of its own, and it would breathe. And you could see it when it would breathe.
Those first few hours there was really, I just had to do something. I had a truck, I had jerry cans, I had a fuel tank, put my name and number out there so people can contact me, getting phone calls, texts, meet them on the road, pick them up, fuel them up. I couldn't believe how many people were stuck there.
There was no rest for us that night. There was nothing. Everything was all kicking in. And then we put out a plan in regards to what it is that we had to get done and how we were going to do it. And we made it happen.
Fort Mackay took in many people. People were sleeping all over the main hall, makeshift little beds with a blanket and a pillow, holding thousands of evacuees. There was fear, but it was controlled fear.
People here have been amazing. Fort Mackay is a godsend.
Pretty much the whole community just came out to the hall, and like I said, they brought clothing, they brought books, they brought Pampers, and whatever they had extra of, they brought. I was very proud of the community for coming out and doing what they did in the time of need.
We got phone calls about the evacuees heading to Fort Mackay. We decided to launch boats to go to Fort Mackay and pick up as much people as we can. So next morning at 4:30, we're at the dock. The ice was 6 to 8 inches thick. So we had to get out there, find a gap, and everyone had to tail each other. The big and heavy boats made it through. The smaller Lunds couldn't do it. So I think 23 of us in total made it out of 45 boats. It was kind of overwhelming when we got close to Fort Mackay, seeing all the people, different walks of life. They were all on the shorelines. You cannot take anything for granted. Like, it could be taken away, wiped out in a matter of minutes.
There was myself and 3 other women from the community. We had set up over 300 rooms in the matter of hours. It was to the point where people coming off the buses just needed a shoulder to cry on for a moment. And there's a little boy, he must have been about 5. And like we were helped carry him in because we had to wake him. And he was just trying to tell us about the flames that he had seen. And that he was scared and he was embarrassed that he had wet himself. Like he was one of the last ones to get off the bus because he didn't want everybody else to see him. And it just kind of broke my heart because my son was roughly the same age at that point in time.
The first thing we did was we opened our Petro-Canada 24 hours a day. We opened every piece of land that we possibly had for people to stay, park, camp. Our members opened our houses.
And we knew that people needed help, you know. And it was a gut-wrenching thing. It was a month-and-a-half ordeal for us. When it all came to a disaster, the whole community became the family. Fort Chip people have endured so much. And when they come together strong. And that's what I call home.
There was so much love that day. It's a great equalizer. And so I remember calling all of my team members, and we told each other that we loved each other. I love you.
Went from a evacuation story to how do we protect the reserve. And at that point, Chief Cruiser decided that he was going to put together a crew of 29 people, and we were going to build a fire guard, and we were going to try to take care of the reserve, and that's exactly what we did.
We were stopped on the side of the road one evening, and we were 200 kilometers probably from anyone, and there was someone who was simply parked on the side of the road waiting to give assistance with giving us gas, giving us food. You could see signs of outpouring support, and it didn't matter where we went, who we ran into. People were so willing to help us in different situations.
The people of Canada, basically, I've never seen so many people come together and help. I couldn't believe it. Like there were signs in Calgary. They bought us dinner. One guy we met in the hallway passed us a $100 bill. He says, "Go have a drink. You guys deserve it." I said, "I don't drink." He says, "Have something." He passed me a $100 bill,
My kids got out of Absan. There was debris like all over the road that was all like in flames. 2 of their front tires were just like barely holding on, and some stranger came up to them and offered to pay for the tires. The giving and the sharing and the feeling of love was amazing. Like,
our people have trouble asking for help, and but when you see it was offered, like the Red Cross said, "Oh no, you guys can get a hotel room," and to see the look on their face, it really made a difference.
The evacuation centers in Lac La Biche were above anything you could imagine. It's really been organizations like the Red Cross who rallied Canadians together to provide financial donations.
Till today, we're still finding ways to help our members that lost everything. 2 weeks after the fire had occurred and everything, when things had settled down and started to come down, and then I sat down outside and I broke down.
I knew the home was gone, but one of the most saddest things I've seen in my life to see my hometown gone to ashes. I had relics from way back, 100 years, some from my grandmother. This property here it's heaven because I consider it sacred.
I lost my main Cheecham cabin. My father's cabin's completely gone. My nephew's cabin. I lost half my trap line. All my old trails are all overlapped with burned trees. It's dangerous in the bush. There's trees crashing. It's just too dangerous right now to even be out there.
Their connection to the land obviously is a lot deeper than folks that are just here for jobs, that are just here to extract resources. I think the people here were probably in fear that they were losing or had the potential to lose some of their last remaining pristine areas.
You know, we lost a lot of territory. We lost a lot of traditional territory. Areas where you used to harvest everything from berries to medicines to just going out to hunt. When it comes to rebuilding, not just rebuilding homes, but rebuilding a culture, I think that this area, this territory is very resilient.
You can't let a thing like a fire beat you. It's a natural disaster in life. I've got to fix up my old trails and take my kids with me to show them. Keep our culture alive is really important, actually.
Coming back to Fort McMurray was really sad because just all the devastation, you could just see all the burnt trees, you could just see the homes gone. It was just like so eerily quiet, you know, it's like there was no birds. I mean, my husband brought an 8-foot by 3-foot trailer thinking he was gonna bring all the stuff back to my brother's to store. There was nothing but a gem from one of my earrings, which was my birthstone. One little box, like that big. You lose it and you just, you know, just different stuff I received from my family members who have passed. You know, my stuff at this point, I'm like, it's gone, it's gone. More shopping, you know.
When I came back, I had 9 bears living in my cabin here. They all came over from the fire this way. I had to have a talk with a couple of them there.
As far as, you know, being in contact with the province, we weren't really provided updates. We weren't provided direction. And we were actually, you know, only provided threatening statements in the sense of, you know, you guys cannot evacuate until you have official word from us. And if you do decide to evacuate, everything that you guys do is on your own dollar. They didn't really consider the fact that, you know what, we're in one of the Canada's biggest natural disasters with a fire bearing down on us, you know.
Quickly realized that they have no plan for the surrounding areas. They have no plan for the First Nations communities. And that was an eye-opener and a shocker for me.
I was on Facebook, and all of a sudden I got notification from RMWB saying we get evacuated. And 20 minutes later, it was rescinded and saying no, it was a miscommunication. We had only 5 kilometers away, a camp that they evacuated because they said they were still in danger. And we weren't in danger, we're only 5 kilometers away from the camp that gets evacuated.
I kind of felt like our community was left out. Like maybe we weren't as important as anybody else.
There was no system in place to contact them, to ask them, you know, let them know, inform them that, you know, there's a fire going on, you need to be evacuated. They're not a part of the emergency system. That's a piece we're going to try to fix in the next year.
We felt many times that, you know, we were sitting on the outside of an organization that was calling the shots, and we were expected to wait, then deliver third or fourth hand information back to our community. So that time delay was very frustrating.
Any types of events like a wildfire, you know, First Nation and Métis communities shouldn't be treated as stakeholders in these types of processes. They really should be considered in terms of government-to-government relations.
Right now, is at this time, everybody thinks, well, the fire's finished with. Well, it's not. We got people out there that, you know, are waiting to get their houses built, and these contractors have, you know, taken their money and now have claimed bankruptcy. Like there was families that lived, you know, like guys that were their 50-year anniversaries, you know, that actually ended up breaking up with their wives. You know, the wife didn't want to come back. One didn't want to stay. Their place burnt. You know, they had their money inside a mattress. You know, like stuff like that happened there. You know, created a lot of problems and friction in families.
We have to have our own people counseling our own people. That's really all it boils down to. I mean, the fire disaster for Indigenous peoples is just one more trauma.
I think this fire, the Beast really opened its eyes at telling everybody that, hey, you know, what we talk about in textbooks can really happen. And it's up to the community itself, the individual, the organization to be prepared. And when reality hits, you're ready for it.
We put in place an emergency response app one that we can instantly communicate with our community members. It's meant to get our members immediate access to the information they need to be able to respond themselves to the emergency situation.
In terms of emergency response and preparedness, it needs to be coordinated, and Indigenous communities need to be in charge of making the decisions that affect their communities.
It's times like this when you should come together, right? So we can all rise up and make sure that we all support and protect each other.
I think the only way we're really gonna come out of this thing better than when we went in is that we all understand each other. We all have an understanding of each other's organizations and an understanding of each other's communities.
Fort Chipewyan is a community of Cree people, of Dene people, of Métis people, and of non-Indigenous people. But during times of crises, during times like this, they're not just Cree or just Dene. They're the community of Fort Chip. It's almost like a little microcosm of what we experienced here in Fort McMurray. There was no differences. We were all evacuees that day.
We get a bad rap on a lot of things as our community, but this shows how caring we are. Everything that we have, we basically gave up for people we don't know. The food off of our own plates, kind of thing, right? I'm very proud of that.
If the same situation happened again, we'd probably do the exact same thing and not think that we were going to be getting anything in return. It's just the way the people out here really are.
Everybody was doing things together, helping each other, guiding each other. There was a lot of people in some pretty tight spots there.
Material things don't really mean as much to us anymore as the togetherness of the people.
They were going through a traumatic event, and it made no difference from one person to the other. We were all in it together.
The Indigenous community stepped up and held up this province. It held up this country, whether it be for an hour, whether it be for a day. You know, we're not just a minority. We are a part of this country. We are a part of this fabric. And we want everyone to understand that we want to contribute to this country because we love Canada. We really do. During the darkest days, you know, we were a light in that darkness, and I want the rest of Alberta and Canada to know it.
You know, you're not alone. You know, I'm one of 88,000 people who gets to tell their story.